I know I have a lot of friends that are getting to retirement age because I'm an old fart. So we people that I came in with are now retiring, and they're like reaching out to me to help with job search, and I'm like, you gotta reach out about I think a year in advance, because particularly if you're like an infantry guy, like you can't do that in the civilian world. So what exactly do you want to do? And I think it takes a lot of soul searching and contemplation to figure out, like, what do I want to be? You know, I mean, I know somebody that's in 06, he wants to be a bike mechanic. Like, well, that's great, but like, how do you get into that? Or somebody that wants to run a nonprofit, or and so it takes some time to kind of think about what do I want to be, and it can be completely different than what I did in the military, and what skills do I have that make me unique for that role. And sometimes you might need to go back to school to get those skills, or you might need to take one step before you take another step. And like having a year to kind of think through what you want to do and what your next step is, I think is a really important piece of having a successful transition. Because we see so many people that come out, like they don't plan it a year ahead, and then they come back home and they like work at some $10 or $15 an hour job, and like there's nothing wrong with the $10 or $15 an hour job, but is that what you wanted to do, or are you just doing that because you didn't really think about what you wanted to do, you know?
And especially if you're going to be doing something totally different than what your job was in the military. So I would say, so the positive and the negative of that, if you're doing something in the military that you enjoy, see what skills you have that you can transfer over and find out what type of position you can get for that. What I did in the military, I really enjoyed. I was a survival instructor. I don't teach survival, but I do like the teaching aspect.
In a way, you do.
You know what I do. But if it is something that you enjoy, maybe there's a market for that. But if it's something that you can't do, like shooting tanks, then you might want to see what would you be interested in that you would really enjoy. One thing I I tell my clients is, don't just pick a job to pick a job, because then you're not going to be satisfied with that job because it's just a job. Try to pick something that you actually enjoy doing. And if it's totally different from your military job, then what skills, like you were saying, what type of skills do you need in order to do that, and then have a plan. Okay, when I get out, the first 30 days, the first 90 days, the first year, you know, have it like that. Be really literal about it, and if you have to change it, then that's fine. But at least you have a draft of a map that you can take, and you don't feel so lost.
Now, another thing I would say though is for people that are doing a job in the military that either doesn't exist in the civilian world, or like they just didn't like it and want to do something different. Like a lot of times people in the military, I think they forget about the things that they're learning that are transferable no matter who you are. You know, I think about like an E5 infantry NCO, like they're in charge of $1 million worth of high-tech equipment. Like that kind of responsibility and accountability is something the civilian world really appreciates.
And you know, the leadership skills.
The leadership skills. You know, project management, like you got to be able to plan an operation and execute an operation and complete a mission, you know, do all those things without a lot of supervision, without any whining, you know. So I think there's a lot of things that differentiate people regardless of what, you know, what skill set they had in the military, whether it's an exact duplicate of what they're going to do in the civilian world.
You're absolutely right, and I think for a lot of veterans, we downplay those because we were always taught to be part of a team. So there's no competition and standing out and trying to climb this ladder. It's like whatever your rank is, especially when we went out to sea, it didn't matter if you were a commander or if you were the bottom of the enlisted pole. Everybody worked together as a group, and I think that teamwork just transcended it. I mean, and when you transition into the civilian world, it's kind of opposite. So it's highlight your all of your skills, sell yourself. You know, talk about how great you are, and that's great. I just think that veterans need to realize that they do. It's a different world, and you do need to highlight those things.
You need to brag about yourself a little bit.
I think that is hard for us, because I know when I was first working with Veterans Forward, an awesome team.
Subtle.
I know, real subtle. But I as a veteran, I totally forget to highlight what I brought to a project or something. I always say the team. I never say, well, because to me it's always a team effort. I mean, even if we're folding boxes, well, somebody had to hold the tape. So together we did the project. So I had to learn how to sell myself. And I think a lot of veterans go through that as far as not wanting to highlight themselves because we're so used to it being drilled in our head. It's not about you, it's a team, it's a team. So we do have to learn, and that is an acquired skill, learn how to sell ourselves without sounding like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah. So I mean, just have a good balance.